Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome again to another Bhagavatam Bites. We're here in another touristy location in Paris after a wonderful evening of hearing and chanting and discussing with some beautiful devotees here in Paris, in which the glorious Mother Mandakini came to the program, and it was so wonderful to spend time with her and all the devotees here. And it's a bit of a late night, but we woke up early this morning and came here to watch the sunrise behind the Tower d'Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower. And now we're going to spiritualize the atmosphere by reading from the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was thinking how we can become like spiritual tourists. So wherever we go in the world, we just take our Srimad Bhagavatam, take the Bhagavad Gita, take the Chaitanya Charitamrita, any of Srila Prabhupada's books, and wherever we go, we can read and hear and chant together, and and just make sure that we keep our consciousness in the right space. So, continuing our reading from the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, we're still in the third canto and chapter 24, and we're up to text 42, and so we'll just start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And just wanted to say that I'm very much missing my partner in these excursions. It was really her idea to start these Bhagavatam Bites and these regular readings, and it's just been such a glorious journey over the last 2 years almost now. Must be coming up to exactly almost 2 years. And I'm really missing her association here in Paris, and can't wait to get back tomorrow for our reunion, and then we can go and do a Bhagavatam Bites reading together. So here we go. Text 42. The sage Kardama accepted silence as a vow in order to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and take shelter of Him exclusively. Without association, he traveled over the surface of the globe as a sannyasi devoid of any relationship with fire or shelter. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here the words anagnir aniketanaha are very significant. A sannyasi should be completely detached from fire and any residential quarters. A grihasta has a relationship with fire, either for offering sacrifices or for cooking. But a sannyasi is freed from these two responsibilities. He does not have to cook or offer fire for sacrifice because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness. Well, there you go. Makes a lot of sense. Therefore, he has already accomplished all ritualistic performances of religion. Aniketanaha means without lodging. He should not have his own house, but should depend completely on the Supreme Lord for his food and lodging. He should travel. There you go. Be careful here. Mona means silence. Unless one becomes silent, he cannot think completely about the pastimes and activities of the Lord. It is not that because one is a fool and cannot speak nicely, he therefore takes the vow of Mona. Rather, one becomes silent so that people will not disturb him. It is said by Chanakya Pandit that a rascal appears very intelligent as long as he does not speak. But speaking is the test. The so-called silence of a silent and personalist Swami indicates that he has nothing to say. He simply wants to beg. But the silence adopted by Kardama Muni was not like that. He became silent for relief from nonsensical talk. One is called a Muni when he remains grave and does not talk nonsense. Maharaj Ambarish set a very good example. Whenever he spoke about the pastimes of the Lord. Mona necessitates refraining from nonsensical talking and engaging the talking facility in the pastimes of the Lord. In that way, one can chant and hear about the Lord in order to perfect his life. Vratam means that one should take a vow as explained in Bhagavad Gita. Amani tvam adam bitvam, without hankering for personal respect and without being proud of one's personal... Vratam means that one should take a vow as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Amani tvam adam bitvam, without hankering for personal respect and without being proud of one's material position. Ahimsa means not being violent. There are 18 processes for attaining knowledge and perfection, and by his vow, Kardama Muni adopted all the principles of self-realization. Well, I must say that I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but interesting that, yes, a sannyasi should have no fixed abode of his own. By not having any fixed abode, that means he becomes completely dependent on the Lord to provide shelter, to look after him, and that's a very powerful situation, especially I can imagine when one is an advanced age of like 75, because that's the age that one would theoretically take sannyas according to the Vedic system. At the age of 75, I mean, most people are really looking for deep comfort and some sort of care and support. So interesting that a sannyasi really should just wander and travel and become completely dependent on the Lord, thinking of the Lord all the time, and surrendering, just being dependent. The other part about fire and not cooking or offering oblations, I think that makes clear sense. Anyway, if anyone has any thoughts, you can please put them in the comments section. Text 43. He fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests the three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotional service. Purport. Yeah, you're really getting a lot of the sounds of the city around behind me with this ambulance that seems to not really know where it's going, I think. See, this is the thing. You put your faith and dependency in the ambulance to show up because you're about to leave your body, and the ambulance gets lost and is just driving around the Eiffel Tower, and meanwhile you're on the verge of death. And really the only thing that can save us is Krishna. Mare Krishna Rake Krishna Mare Ke. If someone wants to kill you, no one can save you, and if someone wants to save you, and if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you, and if Krishna wants to save you, no one can kill you, and if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. So like that. Who is beyond... Alright, let's read it again. Sorry, getting distracted. He fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests the three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotional service. Whenever there is bhakti, is the purport, there must be three things present: the devotee, which is the bhakta, the devotion, which is bhakti, and the Lord, which is Bhagavan. Without these three, bhakta, bhakti, and Bhagavan, there is no meaning to the word bhakti. Interesting, very powerful. Kardama Muni fixed his mind on the Supreme Brahman and realized him through bhakti. or devotional service. This indicates that he fixed his mind on the personal feature of the Lord, because bhakti cannot be executed unless one has realization of the personal feature of the Absolute. Well, now that's a very powerful statement. Let me see if I can... Great. Guna vabase. He is beyond the three modes of material nature, but it is due to him that the three modes of material nature are manifested. In other words, although the material energy is an emanation of the Supreme Lord, he is not affected, as we are, by the modes of material nature. We are conditioned souls, but he is not affected. Although the material nature has emanated from him, he is the supreme living entity and is never affected by Maya. But we are subordinate, minute living entities, prone to be affected by the limitations of Maya. If he is in constant contact with the Supreme Lord by devotional service, the conditioned living entity also becomes freed from the infection of Maya. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Sagunan samatit yaitan. A person engaged in Krishna consciousness is at once liberated from the influence of the three modes of material nature. In other words, once the conditioned soul engages himself in devotional service, he also becomes liberated like the Lord. Well, that's very powerful. I think some really amazing points made there. First, the three constituents of bhakti, which is the bhakta, bhakti itself, which is devotional service, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord. So all of these have to be there for there to be bhakti. And then the Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature, although he's the originator of the three modes. And if one performs and practices bhakti properly, correctly, then one can become freed from the influence of the modes of material nature. Sagunan samatit yaitan. Brahma Sagunan samatit yaitan. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate, I think it is. So one can experience freedom from the influence of the modes of material nature, freedom from Maya, the illusion of something that is but actually isn't. So this is the power of bhakti, of devotional service, that it can liberate us even in this life and bring us to the platform where we're actually on the same, well, it says the same level as the Lord. Of course, we don't become the Lord, and that's the important an important point to understand. We do not become the Lord, but we acquire the same nature. We function on the same, inside the same nature. Sat Chit Ananda. He is the supreme. Chaitanas Chaitananam. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. The Lord is the supreme Lord of all living entities. But all living entities are of the same quality and nature as the Lord. And when we perform bhakti, we realign with that original nature of Satchidananda, full of knowledge, eternal, full of bliss. But when we are not aligned with service to the Lord, when our purpose is not aligned to that original purpose of our being, then we're under the influence of the three modes of material nature, and we suffer according to the dictates of Maya. Anyway, I just rambled on there. I hope some of that made some sense. Text 44, and I think we're gonna conclude with this. Thus, he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection. Undisturbed, equal to everyone, and without duality, he could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm, like an ocean, unagitated by the waves. How powerful. So this is Kardama Muni, once he dedicated himself to devotional service. This was his experience. Purport. When one's mind is in full Krishna consciousness and one fully engages in rendering devotional service to the Lord, he becomes just like an ocean, unagitated by waves. This very example is also cited in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone knows that verse? One should become like the ocean. The ocean is filled by many thousands of rivers, and millions of tons of its water evaporates into clouds, yet the ocean is the same unagitated ocean. If you know the verse that's being quoted here, Prabhupada doesn't say the actual verse, he just references and refers to it. I think I've got an idea which one it is, but please put it in the comments section. The laws of nature may work, but if one is fixed in devotional service at the lotus feet of the Lord, he is not agitated, for he is introspective. He does not look outside to material nature, but he looks into the spiritual nature of his existence. With a sober mind, he simply engages in the service of the Lord. Thus he realizes his own self without false identification with matter and without affection for material possessions. Such a great devotee is never in trouble with others because he sees everyone from the platform of spiritual understanding. I'll read that last part again because I'm intrigued. Such a great devotee is never in trouble with others because he sees everyone from the platform of spiritual understanding. He sees himself and others in the right perspective. So this is very powerful. So one who is on the spiritual platform, is never in trouble with others because he's seeing things as they are. So even if there is some awkwardness or some difference of opinion, then one is seeing from the spiritual platform and is seeing Krishna's hand in everything. And in that way, one's not disturbed. Now, this is quite an elevated stage. It's one of those things that's easy to talk about, but to conduct oneself on that platform is definitely not the easiest thing to do. So, we can aspire. First, we have to understand that it actually exists. It is possible to achieve that platform, and we should aspire to achieve that platform, and it should become a regular part of our meditation that, my dear Lord, please help me to see in each and every activity your hand guiding me in my life. My dear Lord, please help me to become more and more dependent on you, trusting that you are there in my life guiding me and helping me at every stage. And in that way, no matter what happens to us, we see, oh, Krishna's here. Krishna's trying to help me. How can I come closer to Krishna? How can I develop a greater relationship with the Lord? This is the principle of bhakti. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your wonderful and kind attention and for tuning in. Please, any comments, put in the box down below, and please share so that more and more people can hear and chant together with the Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.